Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lynn. If not, welcome back. For today's video, we're going to be doing a really speedy repotting of a bunch of plants that really need a new home. And I'll be demonstrating that for you today. As you can see in front of you, I have so many plants that need a new home. Some of them are in soil mix and some of them are in my semi-hydro mix. And we'll be repotting all of them today. Repotting is probably my least favorite activity out of every single plant activity there is. I just hate potting things. But we really need to get these done today. I will also be sharing some tips and tricks along the way, so keep an eye out for that. If this sounds exciting to you, keep on watching. I almost forgot to mention, if you want a full step-by-step, really beginner-friendly breakdown of my entire process of propping Hoyas and then to rooting them out and then moving rooted Hoyas into a semi-hydro leca setup, I have videos for that and I will link them down in the description box below. If you're interested in my full review of my fertilization routine and how I keep my Hoyas healthy, I will also link that video down in the description box below. And not just that, I have a Hoya playlist now, so if you are looking out for Hoya tutorials, you can go click my Hoya tutorial playlist on the homepage of my channel, and all of the tutorial videos are all going to be in one spot. Without further ado, let's really get going. The first Hoya we really need to repot is my Hoya polyneura, the regular green version. Well, I got it as a brochet, but honestly, it has very little brochet, and this was way early in my plant journey when I wasn't really savvy or smart about getting plants with good genetics yet. I just kind of thought if it said Hoya polyneura brochet that it would be a Hoya polyneura brochet. But if you've seen my other videos, I have talked about this so many times, like it's really not about the size of the pot, it's not about the seller that you're buying it from, whether you like them or not, or whether they have 5 stars on Palm Street or like an amazing local nursery. You really do have to pay attention to the genetics of the plant. So this Hoya polyneura brochet, unfortunately, I bought as like not the best decision when I was not so savvy about plant genetics just yet. So I'm not the craziest about this plant, and maybe that's why I've procrastinated for this long. But this Hoya polyneura is yellowing, it's showing signs that it needs an upgrade in its semi-hydro setup because the roots are starting to grow into the reservoir and it's really time for a new change. First things first, we're going to try our best to gently massage this plant out of its pot because it's extremely rooted in there. And this is why I hate repotting. Hang on. Finally. Oh my god, let me move this thing away. Holy crap. Amazing roots, as you can see, but wow, that was so hard to get out. This is probably another hot tip. The benefits of growing in a glass container for semi-hydro closed container setups is that it's very sturdy. You're never gonna squeeze things accidentally and stuff like that. But when it comes to unpotting things that are like hyper rooted in them, it's a pain in the butt. Pros of potting this in like a plastic container, for example, there'll be bend in the material and you can literally squeeze and massage it out. Yeah, as a rule of thumb, every time I'm up potting something, I always want to make sure that there's plenty of space in the bottom for the roots to grow into, especially in a semi-hydro closed container setup. And the other thing I also want to make sure is that there's at least 1 inch all around the pot. If you want to do 2 inches, you can. I find that 2 inches is sometimes too much extra soil or extra medium, so I try to go like between 1 to 1.5 inch on both sides of the plant as it's centered in the pot. So that's another tip. Also, I forgot if I already mentioned this, but if you're repotting things in both semi-hydro and soil mix, you'll want to move your work process from semi-hydro then soil, because soil is just so much messier and you don't want to get like organic material, or rather you don't want to get like soil and stuff like that into your semi-hydro setups because it's going to make the water in the bottom like really stinky and stuff. It's going to encourage bacterial growth and all of that bad stuff. Now that we have our Hoya polyneura out of that glass prison, I have this other pot that I got from the dollar store. This is a pretty nice tall pot. I think it was like $1.50 or $2 from Dollar Tree. And I think it's a plastic acrylic container, and It's not super flexible, it's pretty sturdy, which I really enjoy, especially when you're potting things up in like a really big container. So my next tip is, if you're up potting a big mother plant into semi-hydro, make sure your container is really sturdy, because you don't want to do this in like flexible plastic. It's going to be very hard to handle every time you need to do anything with the plant. Do a quick measure, make sure the size is great. Yep, the size is perfect. We have an inch all around. And wowzers, those roots are amazing. So I'm gonna fill up the pot right now. I really hope I have enough leca. And I'm actually going to reuse some of this old medium just because I have a feeling I might not have enough substrate, so. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, every time you unpot anything from semi-hydro, or honestly from any medium that you are repotting something into, always check the roots for pests, especially root mealies. You want to make sure that there are no root mealies before you move it to its new home. And if there are root mealies, you want to treat them immediately. If you haven't watched my full pest management routine, go check that video out. I will link it down in the description box below. So as you're repotting your plant, make sure that all of the exposed roots are covered by the medium. If not, they will dry out eventually. And look at that, we have successfully repotted this mother plant into an amazingly cheap, affordable plastic container that you can reuse again and again and again. So very happy about that. I'm looking at all the leaves right now. I don't think I will be trimming any of these for now. I'm gonna leave this plant as is, and I will be moving on to the next step. So the next step involves applying systemic pesticide. Again, if you want to find out my full pesticide routine, go check out my video in the description box below. But I will be sprinkling a generous amount of systemics into this pot because I use my systemic granules for both my semi-hydro setups and my soil-based setups. And I've used them in all kinds of pots. I've used them in a semi-hydro closed container. I've used them in a wicking self-watering system for semi-hydro and for soil, and they work just fine for all different applications. And over here, I'm just adding my nutrient solution to the base, and that is our reservoir. So if you watched my repotting video, you'll have noticed that I talked about keeping the water levels higher, especially when you're repotting a Hoya. In this situation, because the roots are so well developed already, the water level can be slightly below where the roots are, or like at the level where the roots are. And they will just keep drawing from this reservoir. I'm going to now reset this tray because it's really messy and dirty, and it's filled with like stuff from a different pot. And as much as possible, I like to disinfect my tray between plants, especially if I'm repotting something for the first time, and the next plant is going to be for the first time. Also, that container took out way more leca than I thought, so I'm gonna have to go wash some extra leca. And if you want to know my leca washing process, I'll link that video down in the description box below as well. So next up on the semi-hydro train, we're going to be doing my Gunung Gading Ghost. Beautiful plant, but oh my god, this plant is so fussy, and I'll be talking about this plant in a different video, but the fussiest Hoya ever that I've ever had in my collection. And we will be repotting her today because the roots are getting too extensive and she's just being difficult right now. So we're going to be repotting her. Hopefully she doesn't lose any leaves. She will probably lose some leaves. Oh wait, you know what? I think I'm going to be taking a cutting as I repot her. Well, another really important reminder to everybody, before you cut your Hoyas, make sure to disinfect your scissors. So that's just alcohol, 70% alcohol spray. And I will be chopping the Hoya right here under this node. And Hoyas root all along the stem, so you don't need to like get rid of leaves or stuff like that. And here is my cutting. So you know what? I'm actually going to chop off this vine because a lot of the baby leaves have already dried out along the vine for no good reason other than like this is a very fussy Hoya. So I will be getting rid of that vine. And yeah, I know you can like do stick propagations and stuff like that, but I don't feel like doing that right now, so I'm not gonna do that. And I'm gonna set this cutting aside to let it callus over while I work on repotting the mama plant. Here are my plastic cups, and I'm ready to repot. I'm gonna fill my cup about halfway. Looks good. And then we're gonna give this baby a squeeze and slowly release the plant from its prison. Gonna throw this away. You see, that's the thing when you have like a plastic container, it's a lot easier to squeeze and massage the plant out of it versus like a glass container. But a glass container does feel a lot more robust. Okay, beautiful roots. I'm just gonna shake it off so I can check the plant. Amazing, amazing roots. So check that out. Great roots. We're gonna just go straight in here. No fuss, hopefully. And now I'm gonna backfill. Here's the other great thing about growing in semi-hydro. If you're interested, if you're not, it's really up to you. It's personal preference really. But semi-hydro materials can be expensive up front, but once you buy them, every time you repot your plant, you can reuse them. And obviously you need to process them before you reuse them for a different plant. You want to boil them in like a pot of boiling water, just to like, you know, disinfect it a little bit, let it dry out, and then you have your medium all over again. So unlike soil-based or organic-based mediums, those you just have to like let it go. Semi-hydro mediums are reusable, so that could help you save money in the long run, but upfront semi-hydro might feel more expensive than, you know, just buying a bag of soil and then mixing perlite into it. So here we go, she's already done. I'm gonna give her a double cup for stability so it's not so like squishy. And then because this plant has a ton of amazing roots already, I am just going to add some nutrient solution to this cup and then we're done. Also, I wanted to take this moment to thank all of you for your support. Thank you so much for the likes, the comments, for subscribing to my channel. I think we've had quite a few new subscribers and I am just so overjoyed every time I get some kind of a feedback from the audience that you guys are enjoying the content. Just brings me so much joy. So if you haven't subscribed to this video, please if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe to us so that I can keep showing you more plant related content. So the very last Hoya that we're going to be doing in semi-hydro is my Hoya Chengdao Silver, and I have propped this completely in a water tube. So a water tube is just a tube like that, and then, you know, it comes with a cap and you can stick your cutting in and prop it this way. So I've recently had someone ask me like how much root is enough root before you move a plant from a water prop into like a semi-hydro or soil setup. I would personally say that this amount of root is the right amount of root. So you don't want there to be like less than an inch of root, and you want the plant to have multiple secondary roots as well. So this level of root would be what I would be comfortable with propping into a soil-based setup or like into a semi-hydro setup like what we're going to be doing today. The other thing is there is a difference between doing like a water prop and like a fluval prop or like a soil-based prop. The roots that are developed in fluval or pond mediums or like a full perlite medium or fluval perlite, any kind of like rock-based medium or a soil-based medium, those roots are gonna be your thicker, wider, more sturdier roots. And then the roots that you develop in a water prop are water roots. They are usually a lot thinner, a little bit less, I guess, resilient. But that doesn't mean that you cannot water prop or that water propping is bad. I actually personally really enjoy water propping because you can just get a little test tube tray and you can prop so many Hoyas in like such a condensed space, and it's very cheap to prop this way. The only tip that I will give you if you're water propping and you're worried about your plant going into shock is to just overroot them. So make sure they develop so many roots that when you transfer them into the different medium that you're planting to, that they just have a lot more reserve to tap on. So if you try to transfer a water-rooted plant with like barely any roots or like very few baby roots, the plant is just going to go into shock. And when you set the plant up for success with this many roots, the chances of the plant just like continuing to grow and not going into like a deep shock would be a lot higher. So be patient. The patience will honestly repay itself. Another question that I do get from different people is, once my plant gets rooted, how do I get rid of the cap? It's very easy. I just have a pair of like tiny cuticle scissors, and you just cut through the rubber because the rubber is really soft. Cut through the rubber, and then you can just unleash your plant from its little rubber cap. And I like to just clean them. I mean, it's not super necessary because we're not cutting into like plant tissue or anything like that, but it's just kind of like a habit now. So I just do it. It doesn't take up a lot of time. And if you scratch the stem of the plant or anything like that, you're not going to be like transferring diseases, you know? Ah, I did scratch it. Hoya blood. Okay, so I think must be, yep, perfect. Now once you make a cut, just gently pull the rubber lid off, and there you have your plant is free. Okay, so for this Hoya, I'm going to be putting it into like a semi-hydro leca cup. So I filled the cup with some leca in the bottom. I'm going to put my cutting right in, and then we're just going to backfill. And we're done. So we're just going to add some nutrient solution, and I've run out, so I'll be right back. All right, shake it up. So all I have here is like a reused coffee cold brew bottle that I reuse for my nutrient solution shake up. In here is general purpose fertilizer, CalMag, and some diamond nectar. I would highly recommend general purpose fertilizer and the CalMag. The diamond nectar from General Hydroponics is whatever, you know. If you have extra money and you want to spend it, go ahead, but I don't think you really like need to have it in your routine. Maybe it does something minuscule, I don't know. I haven't really been able to tell the difference. The real difference I've been able to tell is really my general purpose fertilizer mix and my CalMag. And if you want to find out more, like in excruciating detail about my fertilizer routine and like what I put in these bottles, go click on my fertilizer routine video link that's going to be down in the description box. And now this is our last semi-hydro rooted plant, and I will be moving on to the soil mix next. Okay, soil plants. So I have my own chunky, like loose chunky soil mix. It's not a very exact formula, I'm not gonna lie. I don't actually know if I have enough like soil mix for this entire repot. So if I don't have enough, I'm gonna make more and then also film the process of how I make my soil mix. It will probably not be in this video, and I'll release it as a separate video just because I don't want this video to get like too long. But anyway, so in my soil mix, I have obviously soil, and the type of soil I put in here changes. Sometimes it's cactus soil, sometimes it's garden soil, sometimes it's potting soil, sometimes it's a bag of orchid mix that is not suitable for actual orchids, like it's just too broken down, that I'll just use it as my soil base. And then I add like bark to it, I add chunky perlite, regular size perlite, and a lot of cocoa chunks. So I'm a chronic over-waterer. You need to make a soil mix that fits your personality and your schedule. The plant, so Hoyas need well-draining soil. So no matter what, your soil mix needs to be loose and airy, but how loose and how airy depends on you. Like I can grow plants in full cocoa chunks and it's not a problem for me because I'm an over-waterer. And that's probably going to be a good medium for like chronic over-waterers out there like myself. But I have used my planter app so frequently now to track all of my plants, but not so frequent. I use my planter app for all of my plants, that I can escape with like a loose chunky soil mix like that, because the plant is going to remind me when to water my plants. And I have to be real, sometimes I ignore the app and go, I think it needs water now. Horrible over-waterer behavior, but yeah, so I've rotted plants that way. So anyway, this is my soil mix, and I have it in like a little basket, and now we're gonna repot our plants. The first one I'm gonna repot is another Hoya chinghonggensis. This is a big one. So in my chinghonggensis video, you're gonna be seeing the semi-hydro version of this plant and also the soil version. And I just absolutely adore this Hoya. It's beautiful, it's very easy to grow, it's very relaxed, it's so cute. Just, I only have good things to say. Very, very, very fun small leaf Hoya. So as with any repotting, I always want to give the plastic cup pot a little squeeze to kind of massage the roots out of there so you're not just like ripping roots and causing a lot of damage. That's the best way to like cause shock to a plant when you mess too much with its roots. Perfect. So the thing with soil-based mediums is that you really want to inspect those roots and like not just the sides. You want to like honestly even dig down the middle of the plant and make sure that it's not hiding a nest of root mealies. That has happened to me before when I bought a plant from a seller and in the middle of the plant was just freaking root mealies. So this plant looks amazing. It looks perfect. No root mealies. It's also like unsystemic pesticide, so that probably helps to curb some of the root mealy population, even if there was any root mealy population to begin with. So this looks clean, perfect. I'm gonna lay it down on its side and we're gonna get a new pot for it. I do highly recommend clear pots. Clear pots are not like better for the roots per se. Clear pots are better for you because you can see the roots and see what's going on below the soil level, so you can deal with any pest issues ahead of time. It's not like plants grow better in clear pots, not really. The clear pot, it's ready for the grower, not ready for the plants. So I have these clear pots. They are 4-inch clear pots I got from Amazon. I really like this set. It's cheap, it's very affordable, and they all come with like a little saucer and it fits perfectly. You don't have to go out and find new saucers, so I love that. Oh, and obviously I'll link that in the description box down below. So here's my pot. Again, I'm gonna add a little bit of soil mix down the bottom. And then a lot of this is just chunky medium, so I'm just gonna add that back in. No big deal. And then we're gonna go grab our plant, pop it into the pot. Perfect. I like to make like a little central divot so the plant rests nicely and firmly and snugly in there. So the main reason why I'm repotting this plant is mostly because it's just growing so fast and it's just honestly just drying out too fast. I actually cannot keep up with how fast this plant dries out. I have to water it once every 4 days. It actually like goes completely dry. So when that happens, it's time for a repot because you literally cannot keep up with its watering needs. So yeah. And again, there are like so many different reasons for why you need to repot a plant or like when it's ready for a repot that it's going to be beyond the scope of this video. So I'll probably talk about that in a different video if you're interested. And if you are, you know, as always, leave a comment. Let me know. As you're potting up your plants, always give it a nice little firm squeeze. Obviously not like a violent squeeze, like a firm squeeze so that, you know, it's nice and nestled in there, the roots feel secure. So my plant is ready. I'm gonna go water this and then let it drip dry and then we'll move on to the next plant. That's one plant down. We're gonna move on to the second plant. This is my Hoya verticillata silver heart and there's like a baby new leaf over here, so I'm gonna be very careful about that. But give it a nice firm squeeze. And I'm also gonna be upgrading the trellis. So the next plant I have here is the Hoya verticillata silver heart and I just took it out of its pot and now we're gonna just massage it a little bit to check out the roots, make sure they're good, and the roots look amazing. I don't see any pests whatsoever. Perfect. So now I'm gonna again add soil to the clear 4-inch pot and then we're gonna start backfilling. And honestly, for this plant, the main reason why I'm repotting is also because it's drying out like so freaking fast. The pot that it was in was the pot that it came in when it was just a 2-leaf, 1-note cutting. So it's since grown so many leaves, 2-3 different vines, so it does need a new pot and I've just been too lazy, honestly. I just hate repotting. But here's a good thing about repotting though, like once you get into the flow of things, it's like, okay, it's not so bad, but the idea of repotting, like preparing all of the stuff and then cleaning up after everything, like I'm gonna have to vacuum everything after this. The idea of that is just like exhausting, but once you're like doing it, it's not too bad. Okay, gonna give this plant a nice firm squeeze to really like get it into the base. Perfect. And I'm gonna change out this trellis. So this is just a trellis that I made by myself, and if you're interested to find out how to make your own braided wire trellises, I'll include that video down in the description box below. So I'm just going to remove this other wire trellis that I made myself. And for these wire trellises, you are definitely welcome to like wash them, disinfect them, and reuse them. I'm not going to at this point just because I don't really like reusing trellises for braided wire trellises in soil mediums, just because it's very hard to get into those nooks and crannies. So if there are any pests or diseases that I've missed, I don't really want to transfer them from pot to pot. This is like the only instance that I won't reuse a trellis. If I have a regular plastic trellis, I will scrub it down with soap and water and just reuse it. So we're going to put our new trellis in, and it's beautiful. Beautiful. I'm so happy. I'm going to put the plant tag back in. Perfect. Oh, and one thing I don't think I filmed for the Chinkongensis is what I do after I finish potting up my soil-based plants. So for my soil-based plants, I really enjoy this Arbor product for a soil and root boost. I talked about it briefly during my fertilization routine video, but yeah, I do this every single time I repot a soil mix plant, and also I do it every couple months just to like refresh the mycorrhizae in the pots. And then at the same time, I'm also going to sprinkle some systemics. And then all you want to do now is just water this. Okay, we're down to our very last plant, you guys. So the very last plant I have here is my Incressata outer variegated, and I think I talked about this plant during my Thanksgiving video. It's a really beautiful mottled leaf plant if you're looking for something that gives you that expensive mottled leaf look without spending like a ton of money on it. So highly recommend. The roots actually are not quite as extensive as I thought, but also this plant just dries out so fast. You know what? I'm still going to repot this, and then I'm going to change its schedule on Planta so I don't water it so frequently. So anyway, the roots look great, so I'm not worried about that. It's just, you know, not quite as many roots as I thought for like something that was drying out so fast. Okay, put this in here. I just have here. So I'm going to do something. I hate I don't like skin, but I don't like it's all time, it's messy, you know what? I recently released a bunch of like orchid videos, and like unsurprisingly, they were not super popular because not a lot of people like orchids. But I'm here to like shout out to orchids because orchid repotting is so easy and so stress-free, and they hardly ever like need to like up pot their pots. They can stay in the same pot for like a really long time. So anyway, I gave this plant a nice firm squeeze. I'm gonna get the soil boost powder in there, systemics, and we're almost done. Because do you remember that we took a cutting of the GGG Gunung Gading Ghost? Yeah. So this cutting has calloused already very nicely. It's dried up, it's no longer wet, and it's ready for a fluval cup. Okay, I have my little cup of fluval here. I'm gonna put this stem straight into the fluval, and then I'm just gonna pin it down with a prop pin. If you haven't used prop pins before, highly recommend. I will include a link down in the description box below for the prop pins that I use all the time. It's on Amazon and it's very cheap. So once you're done with your cutting into the fluval cup, you just need to top it up with water. For me, I have Rapid Start inside this water bottle, and it has really truly helped my Hoyas root really fast. And here's the cutting. Okay, and you're gonna ask me like what my rooting conditions are. My rooting conditions are usually in ambient conditions, so 65 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit, humidity above 45%-ish or above 40%. It's just going under stable grow lights that are on like 12 hours a day. But you know what? I haven't released the video yet. Oh no, wait, actually, have I filmed the video? No, I haven't filmed the video yet. But I will be filming a video on my propagation box experiment part 2 that I promised everybody that I would do. So this baby is actually going into a prop box right now instead of my ambient conditions, which is usually where I root all of my Hoyas. But this one is going to go into a prop box, and I will be sharing updates on it in the future. Alright, so I've cleaned up some, but there's obviously a lot more cleanup to do. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for your attention as always. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. like the video, let me know that you enjoyed the content, and then subscribe to this channel so I can keep showing you more planty related videos. Have a wonderful day, and comment down below if you have any questions. All of the useful links to things I've used or like videos that I'm referencing are all going to be down in the description box below. Have a great day. Bye.